Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Playeasy Warmup, the podcast where we dive into the stories, people, and places driving the sporting event and tourism industry forward. I'm your host, Carrie Shields. Today, I'm joined by best friends, former roommates, and now co-founders of Pickleball Power, Jeff and Daniel. Both are widely recognized as two of the most innovative leaders in the racket sports industry. With over 20 years of experience coaching, directing, and building thriving communities in both tennis and pickleball. Together, Jeff and Daniel are bringing that expertise and energy into Pickleball Power, a platform that's making competitive play more accessible, more affordable, and a whole lot more fun. I have to say, this was one of the most fun conversations I've had on the podcast. These two are passionate about growing the game, but they also know how to keep it real, laugh, and share their journey in a way that really pulls you right in. We get into everything from their friendship and founding story, including how pickleball first landed on their radar, to building communities and partnerships, to the creative formats and innovations they're rolling out to keep players engaged. And of course, we talk about the bigger vision for the impact pickleball power play can have on the fastest growing sport in America. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did.
Nothing brings people together like sports, and no place brings people together like the beach, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. There, you'll find first-class facilities and an experienced planning team that will make sure your sporting or esports event goes off without a hitch. And when the games end, the real play begins. With 60 miles of endless activities and entertainment, it's a guaranteed win for all ages. That's why you can't beat the beach. Start planning at myrtlebeachsports.com.
Jeff and Daniel, welcome to the Playeasy Warmup Podcast.
Hey, Carrie, how are you?
Hey, thanks for having us.
I'm good. No, excited to have you guys on. I know I just mentioned, but you guys are our first pickleball group. So this is a very exciting conversation that I'm really looking forward to getting to know you guys and your organization. So thanks for being here.
Of course.
Yeah. So to start, could you give a bit about both of your backgrounds and how you got involved with Pickleball Power Play?
Sorry, I got it.
I have no. For those listening, there's been a gnat around pre-recording, but I'm happy we started off strong. So, Jeff, do you want to get us started? Just about a bit of your background?
Yeah. So for me, I former tennis player. I have been playing tennis since since I was a kid. But what kind of led us in this whole thing, and for me, was just I played 4 years of college tennis. And worked and still part-time as a tennis director, as a tennis pro. Did that and still, I've been doing that now for 20 years. It kind of led us into pickleball. So I've worked for every kind of club you can imagine, member owned and private, and just have been in the industry for quite some time. Did some consulting, and I just got into a lot of the marketing aspects of it. So just sort of all around in the tennis industry. I think getting into pickleball these past few years, I think we're kind of hitting this boom right now. And I started playing around 2017 and I had told myself actually before, something I didn't mention was I really did not want to get into this part of the racket sports industry. I wanted it to just be fun, something I didn't have to mess around with. But then, of course, we see an opportunity, and for me and my mind and how it works, I'm like, okay, there's a problem, we can fix it, and we can have fun with this. So just in short and summary, 20 years of tennis in the industry professionally, played tennis growing up, and here we are now actually, my dreams of going pro in pickleball are over now. I'm now 40 years old, so I think I missed that window, but it's been fun. Pickleball is great. I love competing in it. It's a completely different animal in itself. So even on the working on that side of the industry has just been super, super cool. So yeah, it's just sort of an overview of me. So that's where I'm coming from.
That's great. And Daniel, you both were college roommates, which is funny because my two co-founders of Playeasy were also both on the football team, both college roommates, and still working together. So we have a lot in common. So could you give a bit of your background? It can be done. It is proven success, but takes a lot of work on the friendship and the relationship, but
Yeah.
no better
Tell
person
me
to work
about it.
with than your best friend, I'm sure. But could you give a little bit about your background and how you got involved with Jeff?
Yes. So just like Jeff, been playing tennis or since I'm, 5 years old, and played college tennis together. We're roommates, lived together, loved and hated it all at once. And then, he started playing pickleball, and I kind of, around my parts, only saw older people play. So I gave him a hard time. My mom played. She was like, "Hey, come play this tournament with me." And I was like, "Oh, please. Okay, great." Had to. Um, and then at my club in Fort Worth, it started becoming more of a thing. And so I started having to teach it, play it a little bit more, started liking it. The advanced guys asked me to play because I, should be good at it. I played tennis collegiately. So they were like, "Come out, I'll teach you a few things and you'll hit the ground running." So I didn't get to Jeff's level. I'm probably past him now, but back then,
I don't know
back
about that.
then, yeah, back then, I was like, "Hey man, you're better than me. Let's play a tournament." And so I don't know if we want to get into that, but we entered a tournament, and
No, let's get
we
into it.
we
Yeah,
Tell her
let's
the
get into
truth.
it. Yeah.
Tell her the
we
truth.
we played this tournament, and he knew the director of this pickleball tournament platform, and he's like, "It's a good one." And I'm like, "Oh, great." And I check out of this tournament, and it's like $350, and I'm like, "Gosh, am I playing for a week? Like, do I get food, drink, hotel, all with this tournament?" I was like, "My goodness." Um, and a few glaring holes in my game came about playing this tournament, and it ended up being a double elimination tournament. So, we've got 2 matches in, probably played less than 2 hours, and I was like, "Well, you're gonna buy me drinks because this is your sport, and I paid a lot of money, and I'm not getting a lot out of it." And so I'll let Jeff now finish this, but yeah, because he started it.
Pretty dead on with that. I mean, it was sort of a humbling experience, but at the same time, it was like it was a lot of money, right? Like, I mean, I think what hurt us even most is that Daniel and I, now that we are married and have kids, everything we do, we got to take our families with us. So now we have to pay for our wives to go and play, which that money starts to add up pretty quick. And for us, it's like, man, we spent all this money for this tournament and we got to play, a couple hours. Like you said, it didn't really rub me the right way. And I think partly was, I'm not used to losing, first off. So there's
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So, but still, when you looked at the amount of money that you're spending for that specific platform, I mean, it was a lot. And it's kind of where power play was born. I mean, we went and drank away our sorrows and sadness at a bar, and we talked about it. And I'm sure we spent more money at the bar than we did with the tournament, but it was worth it because this is what came out of it, right? So we literally just wrote down this format, and we're like, how do we create this? Daniel and I have been running tennis tournaments forever, and why don't we run a pickleball tournament and we can do it our way? How do we make sure the players are getting so much more value out of what they're paying for? Because we felt like we didn't get any value out of it. We felt like it was just one of those tournaments where it's like, okay, you took our money, we competed, we lost, and now it's like you're done, you're out. Now, it is a tournament, and a lot of these tournaments are based and are set up like that. However, the perspective from the consumer is a lot different, and we wanted to change that perspective. That was the goal. So when we created Power Play, we made all these formats where it's no matter what, there's no elimination, and there's round robin, and you get guaranteed games with all these divisions. And it made the platform stand out so much that, I mean, nobody was doing what we're doing. So we had tested this out at my club. We got a spreadsheet and we didn't use any fancy software. We just wrote down our formats and said, look, let's test it out. And we had about 200 people for our first tournament, which was awesome. And we guaranteed all these games and people were super happy. And really from there, we would start making phone calls. Daniel and I were like, okay, how do we take this to other clubs and start branding it? And Daniel started making some phone calls. I made phone calls. We're just kind of using our connections in the tennis world, which helped us a lot. But it really just kind of led to this whole thing where we got a call from a guy in Austin. He's like, hey, come over and do a tournament at my place. It was out East Austin in Bastrop. And that's kind of where I think power play really got its feet wet. I mean, it was in Temple for sure, but once you go outside of your comfort zone, you have to market that tournament, right? You've got to find new people. You've got to convince those to travel. So I think it was a test, and we did really well in that tournament. And after that, everything just kind of like people started talking about it. And we got another phone call and another phone call. And then we started visiting more and more venues. And we were there, right place at the right time, because the indoor space in pickleball was starting to boom here in Texas. Back then, it was only just a few select places. So really, Daniel and I were kind of the first ones. Like anytime an indoor spot opened up, we either called them or they called us. And it just worked out. And, here we are 2 years-ish, 3 years, somewhere around there.
Yep.
And now it's national. I mean, we are all over the place. So yeah, it's been quite a journey, and it's been one that just has happened so fast.
And as you said, perfect timing. I know I mentioned my dad is a huge pickleball player, and I've gone a few times. It's one of the more humbling experiences playing against my dad, who I like to think I'm athletic as well, but I always leave feeling humbling and always shocked by how many people are on the court and wanting to play and travel to play the game, and people of all ages. And so you mentioned a few things that set pickleball power play apart. It's the more games and the emphasis on the affordability. How did you land on that model, and why was it important to you?
I mean, this probably took a week or two just to first get the format, because, Jeff was about, playing 2 out of 3 games to 11, which some tournaments are 1 game to 11, 1 game to 15, 1 game to 21. And so, 2 out of 3 games to 11 is very traditional. And that's what he wanted to, make sure we were he's a stubborn guy, and I could not argue my way out of, doing that format. And, then we started looking at how long this was going to take. And, I think our first, entry fee, we landed on $50. And then, it went to 100, and then it went to 35. And then, so we finally, like I said, it took weeks of thinking and talking to other people and, getting a good idea on, $75, not being too low, but also, people being out of city, maybe even out of state, coming to play and at least pay that much, which wasn't too high for them. So, I mean, we didn't just play the tournament, get beat, come up with this idea the next day. I mean, it took a lot of asking, a lot of arguing, but
Yeah, he's 100% right. I mean, Daniel did a really good job on like getting the time set up. So I think he actually tested it at his club, and he was like texting me times, and he's like, hey, if we do it this format, this is how long it takes to complete. So after he set up those times and we got a better understanding of how the flow would work, it was an easy way to sort of determine how to organize a tournament and how to like never have hiccups. And that was a big thing that most players will go through when they're playing pickleball tournaments, is they have these waiting times. you play a match, you play one game to 11, win or lose, whatever, right? So,
That could
and
take
then
15 minutes.
correct, right? And then you're
We know.
waiting. Yeah. a- And you're waiting like, hour and a half to 2 hours for your next match. And number one, we wanted to solve that. We wanted to solve, of course, all the other problems that we felt that other tournaments had. But once we figured out the time, we knew if there were 4 teams in a division, this is exactly how long it's going to take to complete that format. If there are 5, 6, 7, we now have it down to where we know how much time every division is going to take based on the teams that are in there. So it's a really easy plug and play for us, and that did take a while to figure out. And with our tournaments, we don't ever have there's no waiting time. I mean, once you're done, you maybe 5 minutes at most, maybe 10, and then you're back on. So we really eliminate the 30 to an hour wait. We don't have people waiting around. It's just, if anything, we get people to say, hey, look, can we have more
More break.
breaks, more break? We don't, like, we're tired.
And I'll say from experience, nothing makes my dad in a worse mood than coming back from the pickleball courts and only getting 2 games in 3 hours because of the
Yeah.
wait time that goes into that. So I know
Uh-huh.
just secondhand from how frustrating that is. And so trial and error, it seems like you guys have got it figured out. And a lot of your growth seems to have been organic, but you are looking to expand into new cities and states. So what is it that you're looking for out of a venue or a host
I
city?
think a bunch of this comes to like the local support on each
Community.
the community, right? So obviously that we have standards for facilities, like we want dedicated courts and we want indoors and AC. Like, I mean, I think a lot of the venues that we're going to now, we're very lucky because they do have that. But ultimately, it does come down to the community supporting third party tournament providers like us coming in, because it's doesn't really matter how good the facility is, but you get the community riled up behind you or rallied up, right? So it's you kind of you'll have a great turnout for your event. Sorry, Dave, I took some cloud there from you, man.
Yeah.
As always.
Yeah, I mean, that's so much of what we talk about on this podcast, and a lot of what we do at Playeasy is just the importance of that event experience and the importance of the community when that event is taking place into a city. And so I think for destinations that are listening, what would be the bare minimum requirements logistically of what it would take to host one of your events in terms of courts,
Yep.
seating needs?
So, like you said, destination, we're traveling. Most people are traveling to get there. It probably needs to have at least 12 courts. 10 would be the bare minimum, but 12 to 16 courts is such a good number to, have every division / level, because if you have 8 courts, you probably are only doing the novice intermediate group, and then the beginner and advanced group kind of gets left by the wayside. So, you know, 12 to 16 courts is a great number to have. Like Jeff said, dedicated courts, permanent lines, seating, is a definite bonus, but, walkway in between courts, kind of a space, a large enough space to mingle and not distract players. We have kind of a decent size setup where we're, 10 by 20 with a canopy, bar tops. It's a tournament desk, so, people are going to be around it talking to us. Again, indoors would be great, but, if it got the right community, outdoors is fine. Certain places where it's, we're not doing outside in August in Texas. I mean, that gets to where no one's going to sign up. But, you know, amenities or, where they have food trucks, vendors, a snack bar, bathrooms is a must. But it doesn't have to have a lot. It just has to have a decent community, solid courts, painted lines, nets. But yeah, 12 is a great number. And then if you go higher than that, it gets better and better. So long answer for short question.
No, it's important for people to understand what would be those bare minimum requirements, and especially as you expand out of Texas. So do you have an example of a venue or a city that you have worked with that has been successful, and what made that partnership successful?
I think Nashville was unbelievably awesome.
Yep.
It was so I was hounding Nashville for a while. They've got a great pickleball community there. I think the thing with Nashville at the time was they were a little behind the curve on getting indoor facilities, and so you have I mean, so many pickleball players that are just traveling from place to place. And the second we figured out the Pickleball Kingdom was open, we kind of weaseled our way in and spoke with the owners and got along with them and had several meetings before we actually signed contracts to host an event. And I think part of that too is trust, right? Building a relationship and trusting the owners and having the owners trust us, and here's two bozos out of Texas trying to make money in Nashville, right? But these guys they were super supportive. And it also helps. I got to talk a lot with the locals. You had some really big influencers there as well in Nashville that were a part of this. And luckily I spoke with them just countless times. I mean, just phone call after phone call. What can we do different? Do you like the divisions? And you get those players again of the community to kind of rally behind it just turned out to be, I mean, like 300 people. It also helps too with our marketing. We send a video crew over virtually every single tournament. They shoot this awesome commercial for the venue, the tournament. We get to name the tournament, Music City Pickleball Championships. And that tournament, I think, was one of the best tournaments that we had ever done. It was a waiting list after waiting list, people raving about, hey, this was a great experience. And Nashville was one that we're going to go back to in 2026. But that was great. Same thing in Georgia. So Macon, Georgia was another one that we did. And we have some buddies out there from Southern Pickleball that we are partnered with now. And those guys are very supportive of what we were doing. Same thing, locals got behind what we were doing. We sent the camera crew over there, did a commercial, and that was also a great turnout. And I mean, we couldn't have been happier. It was an awesome experience, I think, for everybody.
And that's something it seems like you guys have put a big emphasis on, is getting that digital footprint and really sharing
Yeah.
through your socials and getting your players involved, a lot of testimonials, and just the overall experience of the venue. Why do you think that has been important for your group?
So Jeff's been in the pickleball world, and he sees these high school level flyers being pushed out on social media. Hey, come play our tournament. And so, he's like, even the PPA, which is the professional pickleball league, they don't do videos, they don't market, they don't do it very well. And so he was like, let's allocate this much money to social media and marketing. And how cool is it going to be for Caitlin? How cool is it going to be to have her in the video? And she's kind of the big or the very popular pickleball player in the community of Nashville. And so we had her on our video. She got a bunch of her friends to be in the video. And so, that was talked about. And he knew that would go a long way just to get people to play in the tournament. So, like I said, he's seen the pickleball world grow, and he knows that the advertising, the video, the flyers, the pictures were lacking. And he saw that, anyways. Okay, go ahead.
Man, that was so good. Man, remember that. You did that sober too. Did that hurt?
I know.
Did that hurt coming out?
It did. I'm gonna.
But
Oh, man.
I did love part of your pushes in storytelling about some of the players that are participating in your events. So you do player spotlights. And so Why was that important to do, and how has that helped your name and your brand grow within the pickleball community?
I think when we highlight players, right? So when we look at the PPA, we look at the marketing collateral that they have. They highlight all the professionals, which is great, right? So that's what it is. That's what it's for. They have a platform where they highlight professionals, and yes, they have amateur-based tournaments that are wrapped around that, but it's not amateur focused. Um, and I think that's where we just saw that piece of the puzzle where we kind of fit in, right? We want to highlight players who are not pros. We want to highlight players that have been playing 2 or 3 power play events and they've won, gold, 3 times. Like those players do need to be highlighted and need to be recognized for their accomplishments. And I think because of the level of branding that we're trying to achieve, I think it just helps, right? So like I love to be able to talk to players and say, hey, look, I'm going to send you this. I want to do a player spotlight on you, and it's amazing. We get to be able to publish that, and and it just exhibit that person's life and pickleball, and I mean, it's just been a special thing. So I think this kind of goes back to building relationships, right, and building something very unique, not only with each tournament but the community. So I think Daniel and I we have built countless relationships in the tennis industry, and we have a membership base that we take care of at our own clubs, and we know,
It goes a long
admittedly,
way.
it does. It goes. We know how far it goes, and just because Daniel stroked me a little bit here, Daniel does an amazing job with his members. He's probably a lot nicer to his members than I am, so I can probably tell you that right now. So um, he does a fantastic job with relationship building, even though he text messages everybody and never calls them, but it's okay. He does a really good
People are
job.
busy. They don't have 10 minutes to hear you
To hear
talk
me
about.
So it's all about relationship building at the end of the day, and I think it's you kind of marry that with the branding and the black and red. We want this to be powerful. We want this to be very rock and roll and a little gritty, and I think we hit the nail there, and that's one of the reasons why we chose the colors, and we wanted that theme. And if you look at all our videos, every promotional piece that we have is all rock and roll themed music. We want it to be super upbeat. I think the only one that's not like that is the senior national one. We had that professionally done, and our videographer and media team is like top notch. These guys are just amazing. They see our vision. But that's the only one that's not really rock and roll. It's more of an inspirational piece for senior play, and but that's what we were going for, and I think people appreciate that. And if you ever play a power play tournament, you'll know we bring in speakers and it's freaking loud in there. I will blast music all day long. So it's not a normal pickleball event. I'll blast some tunes. So
And I also just think it's cool. When we first started Playeasy, one of the big reasons, one of the things we couldn't get over was that these venues didn't have any updated photos or video content to really show and market the space that they have available. And so I used to go, when we first started in 2018, take photos. I bought a camera and I would take photos just to upload for their profiles because they didn't have any. And so just the opportunity that you have to showcase some of these spaces, I think, is just a great way for you to build that relationship and enhance that relationship with the venue and the space. Because I know that there's nothing more those venues love and the cities love than to showcase their space in a modern and good way that people want to come to. So I just thought that was something that really stood out about your brand. But so you've recently introduced new formats like Super Play. What's been the response to some of these new formatting, and how do you keep innovating while staying true to your mission?
Super play only happened because of this, mostly because I was thinking too much about.
Don't give the secret away.
I can't get the
Jeez.
secret away, man. So I how to innovate already in a space that I feel like we have already innovated in is probably it's a challenge for me personally, right? So we have this great platform, and how do you one up yourself? And so really at the time I'm thinking, all right, we're doing 2 out of 3. How do we do 3 out of 5? And so we did a sort of a Zoom call. We talked with the community, and some people were very, very nervous about it. It's super scared that they can't play 3 out of 5. And then you had a different crowd that's all about it. So I think as far as innovation, there are no rules right now. Well, maybe ever for pickleball at least, and I would probably say the same for tennis. But tennis is a lot more traditional. Pickleball is not. It hasn't, and it won't be for a long, long time. So because of that, there's so much opportunity there for
To
tournament
do different
providers,
things.
right? To do different
Yeah.
things, and you really are throwing spaghetti at the wall, and you're innovating. And I think with power play, I mean, obviously this stuck, right? So we're now on to creating some super play opportunities, but also creating like senior based only tournaments. And although it's already been done, right? So like we know seniors have been done, juniors have been done. However, they haven't been done through a power play format
Guarantee.
and guaranteed. So
Yeah.
they haven't been done that yet. So it's like, okay, we see that there's a need for that, or a problem, right? We see the problem there. So we're going to go fix that problem. And now we're moving into the league spaces, which hoping to launch sometime early 2026. And Daniel and I mean, I can't tell you how many seasons of women's tennis leagues we have run, countless leagues. So
One's coming up.
one
in
is
a
coming
week or
up.
two.
Yeah. So it's that part of it. I would probably confidently say that we know better than probably, I mean, just, I don't know. We know it so well.
There's
So-
a few pickleball leagues that are trying to get off the ground, and like Jeff's saying, we probably have been around leagues way longer than they have. So
yeah, we see their leagues and we're like, okay, this was okay, but we now know like this is
A
where it's
better
going to
solution.
go. Right.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is we've spent so much time in the tennis industry where no matter what people say, pickleball is not tennis, it's not tennis. I mean, as far as the industry and where it's going, if you look at the trends, it is. It's exactly like tennis. People maybe just don't want to admit that. MLP is a great format. Tennis, there's world team tennis. It's the same idea. So you have little things like that in tennis that are just spilling over to pickleball, and pickleball is just, they're more or less rebranding and reformatting. And I mean, it's no different than what we're doing. We're innovating and putting our own spin on it, and we're finding more participation and we're growing the sport. And I think that's the goal. So for us to be able to move into the league space and provide our own formats for that, which is, that one's got to be kept a secret for sure. But
Yeah.
until we release it, but we know already after talking with a lot of the community that the second we release that, it's just people are going to be all over it. This is what they want. Leagues are going to start becoming a big thing, and not that tournaments aren't, but you talk about innovation and really keeping the pickleballers' attention, right? And it's tournaments, they may not play, uh, 6 tournaments a year. Maybe it goes down to 3 tournaments a year. So what do you do with that extra time? Maybe it's leagues. Maybe it's a super play event. So little things like that we need to think of and sort of fill in the gaps as we go along, so we can make sure we can keep people within the power play format, and we can keep growing as a company.
And as you look forward into where you're looking to grow, are there any particular regions or areas that you really want to get into?
I think more West Coast. I'd love to go to the West Coast more, maybe.
Yeah.
California, yeah, good
California.
weather, lots of pickleball. Opposite Florida.
So we're currently right now, we're going to be providing a lot of tournaments on the East Coast. So, I mean, it's everywhere from Georgia. I say East Coast, but it's Southeast. You got Tennessee, you've got Alabama, Florida, South Carolina,
North Carolina,
maybe
maybe New York,
we just signed on to Brooklyn, New York.
Awesome.
So
New Jersey. Oh yeah, we've got New Jersey already.
that's right. New Jersey, Wisconsin. So really everything up and to the right of us. I mean, just kind of where we are, but we are in talks with a pretty large and well-known venue on the west side. We can't say anything yet until we officially sign and release uh, our marketing collateral for, but we are in major talks with a pretty big venue. So yeah, the further west we can go, anything Vegas, Arizona, California, I would love to be able to go to that side. And I think just by luck, right? And by people we know, we just ended up on the east side. That's just where it is. But we've got a lot of places in Texas that we service. I mean, virtually every major city in Texas we're servicing at this point.
And so where do you see Pickleball Power play in 5 years? And what is your dream vision for the brand?
Ooh,
Yeah. So
go ahead.
a one-stop shop for any pickleball amateur player, whether they want to play tournament in their area or they want to go on vacation and while they're on vacation play pickleball. Camps, week-long camps, weekend camps, juniors, and leagues. Jeff, while he was sipping whiskey, was a traveling vacation camp. So
Yeah.
merchandise, leagues, everything.
I think that would be
Jeff, are you on the same page? Yeah.
Yeah. No. I mean, I think, yeah, we are. It'd be in a perfect world. That's what we would love, right? Well, one-stop shop. And I think overall, we would both agree that it's whatever we end up doing, right? Leagues, tournaments, camps, whatever it is. I think the whole idea and mission behind Power Play is making sure that you're getting your money's worth with whatever you're doing with us. I think that's ultimately going to be at the core of this brand because this is what got us from A to B, right? Like we started the tournaments and now we've got a great following in tournaments and we want to be able to replicate that into leagues and same thing with the junior spaces and so on and so forth. So, kind of figuring out what brings out those people. And I mean, we get it. It's hard earned money and we want people to be able to spend it with us and we want them to have a great experience with all the services and or products that we're providing. And I think we've done a pretty good job with that right now. Um, and right now it's just us two. So one thing he didn't say was maybe getting some more help. I mean, that'd be nice.
I did forget.
Yeah,
I
man.
did forget that. That might be number one on the
Yeah.
list.
It could be the top, right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing living with this guy already for 5 years. Now we're having to spend every other
Work.
weekend together.
Yeah. Oh.
So he still has all the same habits he used to have, and
Picked up some new ones.
picked up new ones. So it's a
Well,
challenge.
it seems like you guys have a good thing going. And I know to finish us up, you guys are true entrepreneurs, and I know that there are a lot of lessons learned. So what's one lesson that you guys have learned through this process of building this brand?
Quality over quantity. So I'm the guy that wants to go to every venue every weekend, and Jeff is like, "Whoa, slow down. Let's make sure we check our boxes, make our list, check all the boxes. Let's make sure we're not dead tired. Let's do it right and do it well."
Agree.
Love it.
I think for me, it's time, right? So I think a lot of times that I try to start a business or do something, if you rush into it and you just throw it together, it's just, I think there's a level of patience you have to have and understand that in order to build a brand, it obviously doesn't happen overnight, right? So it takes time and we're on year 3 and I'm also going to throw this in there too. Yes, we're on year 3. We've become a national brand. However, there's a lot of luck that comes with that too. And some people just don't realize that, hey, we were at the right place at the right time with a lot of these venues. And, we were there. So we got lucky with a lot of this stuff. However, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't take your time with things because I take my time with I take almost too much time. I mean, I will sit there and think and stew on something for a while until I figure out every possibility. And um, I do the same thing with websites. When, especially with the Power Play, I change it up constantly because I get tired of it, or I think it's something new, and just how I'm wired. So I want it to be new. I want it to be innovative, but those things take time. But the more time you spend, the better quality, right? So Daniel talked about quality. Quality is everything. So if you can provide the quality out there, doesn't matter what you charge for it, right? So like people are going to want those services and those products because you're providing a great product. So
Completely agree with that. And so, Jeff, Daniel, thank you guys so much for joining us today. If anyone wants to learn more, connect with you guys, what would be the best way of doing so?
you can text Daniel any day of the week. You can text him.
I'm available, baby.
Yeah, just text him. You can call me if you like. We'll sit there and talk about pickleball.
20 minutes worth. So pickleballpowerplay.com. There's a contact us where it sends us an email, and we're not too busy all the time, so we get to it fairly quick, or within a week. Same thing with Facebook, Pickleball Power Play, and then Instagram, right, Jeff?
Yeah, Instagram. You can find us pretty much on the major social media platforms: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I say this now, but my number is on the actual website. So if you go to contact, you can actually find my number on there to call. It may not be up there long because I do get calls a lot. So, but take advantage of it now. You could call us. I mean, it's literally just me and Daniel. So it's, be more than happy to help you guys
If you don't
out.
want to text or call, pickleballpowerplay@gmail.com.
It's true. It's right. Email us. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well,
Mhm.
Jeff and Daniel, thank you guys so much for being here and for taking the time.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank
for
you so
having
much,
us.
Carrie. Appreciate it. It was fun.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Until next time.
Okay,
See you later.
bye.